Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the Criterion Collection review series. I know that I already posted a review for Chronos, but this to me is the official out of hiatus review. I've moved into a new place, as you can clearly see, and now that I'm finally settled in, I've taken some time to sort of honestly take a much needed break from doing these reviews after the other break. I'm excited to get back on this train. And while I wasn't making these reviews immediately after I watched all the next few movies, I was still watching them and was kind of considering my thoughts and getting ready to do these. So hopefully these reviews are a little bit more well thought out and maybe a little bit more interesting than the last ones, rather than being rambly and kind of aimless at points. But on that note, let's just get right into it. And today we're going to be reviewing Brian De Palma's 1981 thriller Blowout, this right here, which is number 562 in the collection. So for starters, I'll say I hadn't really seen a Brian De Palma film before watching Blowout. Now, of course, I've seen Scarface, but I haven't watched it all the way through in maybe 10 years. It's been a very long time. And so to me that means I haven't really seen a Brian De Palma film. So going into Blowout, I didn't really know much about his style. I knew who he was. I knew people considered him to be like a ripoff of Hitchcock, or to do a lot with suspense and, you know, almost like exploitation-y films. Which is why I was so surprised when watching Blowout out how technically impressive and well made it was, honestly. But before we get into that, it might be nice to give some context into the plot, which follows John Travolta's character, who is a sound effects guy for a sleazy exploitation film company. And all he does all day is, you know, record sound effects outside, make tapes of them, and use them in these movies. So one night he's out recording sound effects of just the night air, owls, whatever. He happens to be in the spot where a car crash happens, where a car comes driving by, the tire blows out, the car swerves into a lake. John Travolta then dives in, and he knows that the driver is dead, but instead saves the woman who is in there, played by Nancy Allen. As soon as he goes to the hospital to sort of check up on her, the hospital is just surrounded in cops and reporters and officials and all this craziness. Because as it turns out, the driver of that vehicle was was a political candidate. In fact, one of the favorite political candidates for Philadelphia. And John Travolta is asked by these government officials to keep secret that Nancy Allen was in the car, because she is actually a call girl that he was with that night. So definitely don't want to disrupt the family union or anything like that. But afterwards, John Travolta sort of becomes obsessed not only with this case, because he keeps trying to argue that there was a shot before the tire blew out, some other sound. He also can't get Nancy Allen out of his head, and proceeds to pursue her and sort of get to know her more. But as John Travolta sort of delves deeper and deeper into this case, he sort of discovers a large conspiracy that, as cliche as it may sound, it kind of goes to the top. Right off the bat, I just want to say that I really want to watch more Brian De Palma movies because of Blowout. And specifically, it's because of the style of the film. I love the eccentric, at times maybe even indulgent style, the use of one takes, split screens, really effective use of sound and editing. There's this incredible shot, which if you've seen the film, you probably know what I'm going to talk about. It's this 360 shot where John Travolta is in his sort of sound effects room with all of his gear and tapes and everything, and he's trying to find the tape that he used. And it's a 360 shot going around the room, but he's not always in frame. He's sort of walking around the room, and we just happen to be there. And it is a shot that is incredibly impressive because it is able to tell a whole story while keeping the camera essentially stationary, but just moving our viewpoint. But it is also great because it puts you in the moment and reflects sort of the cyclical, almost insane feeling he's having, where he knows he has sound effects on these tapes and they've all been wiped by someone. Someone came by and wiped all the data or the sound from the tapes. And it's just a really impressive, well done shot. And I think that this artistry really comes through in the film, and this attention to detail and to just the act of making the film almost. And I think this shot helps to further engage us into the plot, which on its own is honestly really engaging. It's a really twisty, turny political thriller with a lot of reveals and a lot of just tension. There's a lot of focus on the details, on sort of the process of John Travolta figuring out what's going on, of looking through the tapes, of applying the sound to the photos that were taken of the accident, and just this real meticulous attention to detail that I really enjoyed. And I think also just the story of political corruption and trying to exist in a world that you know is corrupt, and trying to, not necessarily ignore it, but still be able to survive and live your life is still fairly relevant today. Depressingly so, but still relevant all the same. Also, John Travolta and Nancy Allen are really fantastic in the lead roles. This is at a time when Travolta was really well known for Grease and Saturday Night Fever, and I think wasn't really taken seriously as an actor. And I don't know if that reputation he had informed how he played this role, but he does a really fantastic job at finding these subtle nuances in the character, where when I first watched the film, I was really taken aback by his character, and I didn't really like his pushiness and aggressiveness with Nancy Allen, and that really bothered me. But watching it again, I came to the realization that I'm pretty sure Travolta's character is someone we're not supposed to necessarily like. We're not necessarily supposed to be on his side at all times. He's a little bit more complicated than that, and we're more there to see the events play out rather than get a morality tale and see John Travolta as this sort of iconic role model. He's just a guy who has had some serious trauma in his past and is dealing with it however he knows how to. But then you counteract that with Nancy Allen's character, who is very, I don't want to say oblivious or ignorant, but she definitely sides more on that angle. She's very bubbly. She's very, her joy and her excitement is infectious. And and honestly, the two of them play off really well and develop a chemistry that I don't think you'd really expect, but it really works in this film and helps to make you really care for these characters when things start getting really tense near the end. Speaking of near the end, we also have John Lithgow in the film. I personally have never seen John Lithgow be so just menacing and intense as I have in this film as sort of the antagonist, where he is just so slimy and so intimidating and creates a lot of tension in the third act of the film. I also enjoy the progression of the film. The film begins, in a sense, fairly simple. A lot of it takes place in enclosed spaces, not a lot of characterization, but as the plot unravels, so do the characters and their motivations and their pasts, where the final moment of the film is so emotionally raw and big and on such a large scale. Yet the characters, we know them way more intimately, and they are just as emotionally raw and sort of naked for the eye to see, in a sense, emotionally. That it makes the film seem so much bigger and emotional than I think a lot of directors would have chosen to make it. And I think that comes from De Palma's style and his choice to over-dramatize everything, but yet still make it work, still make it feel, I don't know if grounded is the right way to describe it, but still effective and still believable in a way. And I think that's another really fascinating thing about the film is how it is a very dark movie. It's a movie that doesn't have a happy ending, that, doesn't have a really great outlook on life. And I really admire that choice and that commitment to not, just brushing past how corruption in America and in our cities and at a high and a low level really do affect people that try to pursue it and try to break it, that are looking for justice in life, and yet, have to learn the lesson that sometimes you don't get justice, sometimes you don't get what you want, and you have to live with that, as sad and tragic as that may be. But I mean, in general, it just is a really, really fantastic film that clearly everyone involved, including the cinematographer, De Palma, the actors, everybody was just truly, truly in love with and really wanted to make something special out of it. And that sort of infectious love for the film is reflected in this release from Criterion, which comes with a lot of really great special features, a lot of interviews. It actually comes with a feature, sort of like an early work from De Palma called Murder a la Mode, which I didn't get a chance to watch, but looked really interesting. And I think probably the best special feature here is an hour-long interview between Brian De Palma and director Noah Baumbach, where Noah Baumbach gets to just dive deep into Blowout De Palma style, and De Palma just talks all about it and just sort of uncensored in a sense, or not feeling any need to hold back. And it's very fascinating. It's very well done. Baumbach is a clear lover and admirer of De Palma, and it's really great to see him get so excited about hearing these answers. About hearing answers to questions he's probably had for many, many years. Another really special treat on this release is the booklet, which looks very nice, has a lot of great pictures and things like that. But this essay from Michael Swagow, I hope I said his name right, I feel terrible, is a really fantastic look not only at Blowout's place in De Palma's career, but specifically at the relationship between De Palma and Pauline Kael, the famous film critic who sort of really championed De Palma for his entire career and really admired him. And while she always did challenge him if she didn't like his films, she always supported him and was there for him in a sense, and was excited to see what he did. And as a nice additional touch, the other essay included here is actually Pauline Kael's original review for Blowout, which is a fascinating read and shows just why Pauline Kael was one of the masters of film criticism, and just really shows her love and admiration for De Palma, and sort of it almost feels like a mentor or a proud parent seeing the fruits of their labor or their faith being rewarded in this artistic endeavor, and it's just something really great to see. But yeah, overall, Blowout is a really, really great movie with a really great release from Criterion that I highly recommend. And honestly, I do want to watch more of De Palma's films and might have to, blind buy some of his films from the collection, but we'll see what happens. But either way, thank you all so much for watching. What do you think of Blowout? What do you think of De Palma? Please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. If you like the video, please like it. If you want more people to see this, please share it. And if you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. I'd also like to mention that I do have a Patreon page. There aren't any rewards or anything. This is purely if you want to help support me doing these videos. I do make these purely for fun. It would be nice to make money off of them, but no obligation there. Just any little bit helps, and I would genuinely really appreciate it. But on that note, come back next time where we're going to be talking about one of Stanley Kubrick's earliest films, the film that helped to push him over into his future career and led him onto the path of becoming a legend, which is The Killing. But see you all there next time, and I hope you'll have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.